Hey there. Ready to dive deep with us today?
Absolutely.
We're going to uncover the story of a true unsung hero in music.
Oh, yeah.
A guy who helped shape a band's sound before they hit the big time.
Right.
We're talking about the Goo Goo Dolls
Hmm?
and their original drummer, George Tutuska.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've definitely heard their smash hit, Iris,
Sure.
but we're rewinding way back to their early days,
Okay.
before the sold-out stadiums and platinum albums,
Right.
to unravel the mystery of George's departure.
It's interesting.
Because sometimes the most crucial players in a band's journey aren't always the ones grabbing the headlines.
Yeah.
And George's story is a
Yeah.
perfect example of the often
Mhm.
unseen forces that shape a band's destiny.
Absolutely.
So who was this mysterious George Tutuska? Picture this. Blue-collar Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
George's dad, his granddad, firefighters.
Right.
The kind of folks who embody hard work.
Yeah.
That's the environment that shaped George,
Right.
instilled in him this incredible work ethic.
It's so essential to grasp that. Yeah. Because for George, music wasn't some fleeting hobby.
Right.
It was a craft,
Yeah.
a profession,
Right.
something he was dead set on mastering.
Uh-huh.
He approached it with the same dedication his family brought to their blue-collar jobs.
Wow.
It wasn't enough to just play music.
Right.
He was determined to make a living doing what he loved.
And talk about dedication. This is a guy who chose music over a college education.
Really?
A bold move, right? Especially back then.
Yeah.
He teams up with bassist Robbie Takak.
Mm-hmm.
John Resnick eventually joins them,
Hey.
and bam,
Wow.
the Goo Goo Dolls are born.
That's great.
But this decision to forego college wasn't made lightly.
No, absolutely not.
In those days, ditching college was a gamble, a sign of serious commitment.
Huge.
This wasn't a side hustle for George.
Right.
It was all in.
Yeah.
Imagine the guts it took to put everything on the line for your passion.
I know. Right.
It speaks volumes about his belief in what they were creating. So fast forward to the 90s.
Oh.
Alternative rock is exploding, and the Goo Goo Dolls are finding their groove.
Right.
They've got a few albums under their belt,
Mm-hmm.
and then comes their 5th studio album,
Okay.
A Boy Named Goo.
A Boy Named Goo.
And this is where things get really interesting,
Really?
because that's right when George makes his exit.
Oh, wow.
What's even more intriguing is that there's this persistent rumor about the original album cover for A Boy Named Goo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So the initial concept was a far cry from what we know.
Okay.
The working title wasn't A Boy Named Goo at all. It was You Ain't the Boss of Me.
Wow.
And instead of that iconic sumo wrestler,
Right?
picture this. A kid
Okay.
decked out in a cowboy hat,
Uh-huh.
staring right at you,
Yeah.
and holding a toy gun.
What?
That was the image George had envisioned.
Wow.
Whoa, wait a minute. A
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
a cowboy,
Right.
a GUN.
A gun.
What kind of message was that image trying to convey?
It screams defiance.
Okay.
A bold statement of independence.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to remember the context. Early 90s.
Right.
Grunge is in full swing.
Yeah.
And there's this anti-establishment sentiment brewing.
Okay.
It makes you wonder if the album art was a visual representation of the band's mindset at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this rebellious album title and cover art
Right.
all happening just before George's departure.
Right.
Coincidence?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But this is where it gets even more intriguing,
Right.
because this wasn't just a simple we're going our separate ways kind of split.
Oh, really?
Oh, no. Wow.
You see,
Yeah.
right when the band was on the verge of a major breakthrough with A Boy Named Goo, George's exit raised eyebrows
Right.
and fueled a ton of speculation. People
Yeah.
wanted to know
What
what
happened?
really went down.
Yeah.
So, I unpack this speculation surrounding George's exit.
Yeah.
There's this cloud of mystery, right?
Right.
Was it a creative clash?
Personality differences.
Possibly.
Or was it something more, something that gets right to the heart of the music industry itself?
Well, this is where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
Because it wasn't a clean break.
Okay.
There was this underlying tension, this feeling that things weren't right.
Uh-huh.
And at the center of it all,
Yeah.
money.
Money.
George felt he wasn't getting his fair share,
Really?
especially when it came to royalties.
Royalties.
Yeah.
For those of us who aren't rock stars,
Sure.
break that down for us. Okay.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
So every time a song plays on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
gets used in a movie,
Right.
or even streamed online,
Okay.
a small fee, a royalty is generated.
Okay.
It's how artists get compensated for their work even long after the song is released.
It makes sense.
And in a band, how those royalties get divided, that's a big deal.
Right.
And in the Goo Goo Dolls case, it seems that agreement shifted.
How so?
Before Superstar Car Wash, it was an even split.
Right.
But then Fallin' Down starts getting traction.
Right.
It's hitting the airwaves.
Yeah.
And George claimed he wasn't seeing his cut of the royalties.
Oh, wow.
In fact, he claimed John was the one holding on to it.
Wow. That's quite an accusation.
Yeah.
Are we talking big bucks here?
The reported figure was around $600.
$600.
Now, that might not sound like a fortune,
Right.
but think about it. Early 90s,
Yeah.
a band still grinding, every penny counts, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It wasn't just about the money itself. It was the principle.
Right.
The feeling of being cheated out of what he was owed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to admit, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is.
But it gets even more complex.
Oh, really?
Remember that rebellious album art George envisioned?
Yeah.
That kid with the toy gun?
Yeah.
Imagine pouring your creativity into something like that.
Right.
Only to have it scrapped.
It's like having your voice silenced.
Right.
And that's exactly how George felt creatively stifled.
What?
He poured his heart into his drumming,
Yeah.
helped define that early Goo Goo Dolls sound,
Right.
and to have his ideas dismissed,
Yeah.
his drum tracks for Name allegedly tossed aside, it added fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about respect, about feeling valued as an artist.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's impossible to ignore the impact this all had on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he even said, and this is a direct quote,
Okay.
"The thought of slitting my wrists crossed my mind when I was still in the band."
Wow.
That's heavy stuff.
Really heavy.
And it highlights the emotional toll these conflicts took on him.
Absolutely.
Remember, this wasn't just business, it was personal.
Of course.
This was his band, his dream, his creative outlet,
Yeah.
and it was crumbling around him.
It's tough.
He even said, and this gives you a sense of his mindset at the time,
Okay.
2 of the Goo Goo Dolls wanted to be rock stars and 1 didn't. The one who didn't was George.
Wow.
It's a stark reminder that there's often a human cost to these creative clashes.
There is.
But amidst this turmoil, this feeling of being pushed aside,
Yeah.
there's an interesting twist.
Okay.
Despite the heartache, Judge never trashed the band publicly.
Really?
Even with the legal battles over royalties, he seemed to take the high road.
Huh. Interesting.
And I think that speaks volumes about his character.
It does.
He easily could have gone the route of bitterness.
Oh, yeah.
The scorned band member airing dirty laundry.
Right.
But he chose a different path.
Okay.
A path that speaks to his roots, that blue-collar work ethic we talked about earlier.
Right.
Instead of dwelling on the past, he focused on what he could control, providing for his family, staying true to his artistic spirit.
Wow.
It's a side of the story that's often overlooked, but incredibly important to understanding the full arc of George's journey.
It is.
So we've got George at a crossroads,
Yeah.
facing down this maelstrom of emotions,
Right.
hurt,
Mm-hmm.
frustration,
Yeah.
maybe even a sense of betrayal.
Yeah.
And he chooses to channel that energy,
Yeah.
not into bitterness, but into resilience.
I like that.
It's actually pretty inspiring.
It is. He could easily gotten stuck in that negativity.
Right.
But instead, he goes back to his roots, that blue-collar upbringing.
Yeah.
He picks up construction work to support his family,
Wow.
all the while never publicly bad-mouthing the band.
Really?
It's like he understood that sometimes walking away is more about preserving your own integrity than proving a point.
That's a good point.
Right.
And what I find even more remarkable
Yeah.
is that even after all that,
Yeah.
the creative spark in George never died.
Right.
He could have easily turned his back on music,
Oh, yeah, totally.
but instead he keeps that passion alive in different ways.
How so?
So instead of drums, he picks up a paintbrush,
Okay.
a camera.
Okay.
He explores different mediums,
Mm-hmm.
expressing himself through painting photography,
Okay.
even becoming a drum instructor later on.
Wow.
It shows a real depth of character, a refusal to let those setbacks define him.
Right. It's like,
It makes you think about how we often define success solely by fame or fortune.
yeah.
But George's story challenges that notion.
Is it
Like he found a different definition.
Right. Yeah.
One rooted in integrity,
Mm-hmm.
resilience,
Yeah.
and an unwavering passion for creativity.
And that's a powerful message, isn't it?
It is.
That success can manifest in ways we might not initially expect.
Right.
He wasn't on stage playing irises to a stadium crowd,
Right.
but he was sharing his love for music,
Yeah.
nurturing new talent, and creating art on his own terms.
Wow.
That's a legacy worth celebrating.
Absolutely. It really is. It makes you wonder, how would the Goo Goo Dolls sound have evolved if George had stayed? Would they have still hit those soaring melodic heights without his raw driving drumming?
Right.
It's a question we'll never know the answer to.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to think about.
It is, and for listeners who are curious about George's post-Goo Goo Dolls journey, his artwork is actually available online. It's a fascinating glimpse into his creative spirit, a testament to the enduring power of art.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the untold story of George Tutuska,
Right.
it leaves us with a lot to ponder.
It does.
Here's a final thought.
Okay.
If you were in George's shoes, knowing what we know now, would you feel like your contributions had been recognized, appreciated?
Wow.
It's a question that goes beyond simple right and wrong, delving into the complexities of creative partnerships, the pursuit of passion, and the often unseen forces that shape a band's legacy.